All right, welcome everyone, benvenuti a tutti. So my name is Tiziana Cervesato, I'm the Director of Events of the Italian Cultural Center here in Minneapolis, St. Paul. And I'm really happy to welcome you all here today for another appointment of Il Salotto degli Artisti, which we are co-presenting in collaboration with the Rochester Art Center. And it is my great pleasure today to welcome our guests, Zoya Shokoohi and Matteo Innocenti. And without further ado, I will give the floor to our two great curators of Salotto degli Artisti, Giulia Angeli and Zoe Cinel, to introduce our guests and lead this presentation. Enjoy the presentation.
Thank you, Tiziana. For our returning and new audience, the title of this event is called Salotto degli Artisti, and Salotto in English translates as living room. So the idea for this series came from wanting this event to feel like a place of encounters, connection, and conversations, just like Salotto is in Italy. We meet once a month from February to April 2021 with artists and gallery spaces working with the most diverse media and techniques. And we had the first series in fall 2020 where we focused on Italian artists living in Florence. And this time instead we are focusing on international artists who decide to make Florence their home and to understand how they adapt to such a rich and different cultural context. So today we're here with Zoya and with Matteo from Portineria. We will start with Matteo, and Giulia can give his introduction. And so thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Zoe, for this introduction of the Salotto. And as you said, let's start with La Portineria. La Portineria is a new project space for contemporary art in Florence, and it was funded in February 2020 and is directed by Matteo Innocenti, who is here today with us. And so La Portineria is housed in a former concert lounge, wherein one of the architectural jewels of Italian modernism. Palazzo Poli, in fact, was designed in 1974 by architect Oreste Poli, whose styles combines the simple street lines with the strong expressivity of modern construction materials. Aiming to become an independent hub for cultural stimulation, La Portineria engages with the multicultural and multi-generational network of artists, opening up a creative dialogue with the neighborhood and the city, the whole city. So first, I'd like you, Matteo, to explain to our non-Italian audience what a portineria is, what portineria means in Italian, and the cultural value of portineria as a new project space.
So first of all, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the invitation. A special thanks to Tiziana, Zoe, and Giulia. And thank to the Italian Cultural Center, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Rochester Art Center. And yeah, why this name, La Portineria? Maybe I will explain it later, but the translation of La Portineria could be concierge service or something like this. And first of all, what is a La Portineria? La Portineria is a space, a project space for contemporary art based in Florence. And I'm going to share my screen with you so I can show you some images about La Portineria. Just give me a moment, please. Okay, so La Portineria began the adventure in February 2020, and we believe that our history, even if recent, is somehow significant. And I want to explain you why I'm saying this. The name La Portineria derives from the fact that this space, or better, we are using a space that functioned as a concierge service for about 40 years inside Palazzo Poli. Palazzo Poli is a modernist architecture by the architect Oreste Poli. Is a sort of unicum in the district, in the area where we are located, that is Campo di Marte, in the south of Florence, and is a sort of unicum because for the materials that were used for the architecture, that are wood and concrete, and for the dynamic style of the architecture. So I think that is something very special. And due to a special friendship that relate me, that connect me with the Poli family, from the idea of converting this former concierge service into a space for contemporary art, the adventure began in February 2020. And until today, we have managed some exhibitions. La Portineria intends to develop a research program, realizing projects with Italian and international artists, contemporary artists, obviously, and starting collaboration with other partners. A characteristic of our planning is to change the exhibition format every year. For example, we dedicated the first year of La Portineria to the cycle Assolo. Assolo is a series of 4 solo exhibitions of international artists to present a recent series of the artworks with a text that is a dialogue between the curator and the artist. This program is still in place because the pandemic situation has created delays for everyone, for institutions, for museum, and also for no-profit space, because La Portineria is not a gallery, but is a non-profit space. This is important. And the first exhibition, here you can see the architecture of Palazzo Poli. And the first exhibition of the cycle Assolo was a solo exhibition of an Italian artist, Davide Casini, and the title of the exhibition was Eliminare la carne. Eliminare la carne is a sort of play on words with the etymology of carnival. And because the period of the opening was during the carnival. And in this case, the artist put himself in a creative relationship with some masters of art, such as Pablo Picasso, Paul Klee, and Medardo Rosso. The idea was to extrapolate, to take something from these masters and to transform them in something new. So, for example, here you can see a sculpture that was inspired by a real sculpture of Medardo Rosso, that was who was a very important sculpture, Italian sculpture. And so this was the idea, and also the realization of a fake wall, wooden wall with a fake fireplace. It was a sort of a passage between the dimension of the exhibition and the dimension of reality. And here some images of the opening. And now you are seeing Satoshi Rossi, because the second exhibition of Assolo will be in May with Satoshi Rossi, that is a Japanese artist. And so, in conclusion, our core values are the artistic and curatorial research, and the dialogue with the external context, considering that we are doing contemporary art in a city globally known for the tradition, for the past, I mean the Renaissance. So we are trying to do something different and something original. But I believe that there is also a good possibility in Florence to realize something about our contemporary time.
Thank you, Matteo. I really like the use of wood in the first solo exhibition. That I think it's really interesting. Yes, because it's a sort of dialogue between the space where wood is used as a construction material, as we said, and here for this installation. But you said that La Portineria was funded in 1 year ago, more or less, in February 2020. And I think we all know that last year was unusual and let's say really tough for cultural institutions. So how did you engage with your audience facing social distancing restrictions?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Thank you, Giulia. So first of all, I would like to underline that Palazzo Poli is normally inhabited, and so there's a natural relationship between the residents and our space. And a relationship that obviously needs to be developed over time, but it's something natural because it's a sort of big house, if you want. And in addition, given the nature of the space with a large window to the outside and another to the inside where there is the entrance, La Portineria is a special place to create dialogues with the district. So not only with the residents of the palace, but also with the area. And this dialogical aspect in the future also involving schools interests us in a particular way. For example, in occasion of each exhibition of Assolo, a booklet is published with an interview between the curator, between me and the artist. And this booklet is free distributed outside the space in a plexiglass box. And so this allows people to have information about the exhibition at any time, even when the space is closed, but still remains visible from the outside, day and night, and also allows to intrigue a public that is not the usual one of art. So this is a way to create an engagement with the public. And another aspect I would say is of absolute importance are the collaborations. And so far we have started them with the Academy of Fine Arts in Florence, with one of the main Florentine museums for contemporary art, the Museum of the 20th Century, Museo Novecento, And just today, for a widespread exhibition in the city on the first day of spring, that is today. In fact, we were opening just 1 hour ago, and with the Black History Month Florence. And this also allows us to know and appreciate the research of excellent artists like Zoya, who will talk after me. And another note, in this inclusive mode during the first year, we have recovered 2 other spaces in the Palazzo Poli building. One of them has become the location of another contemporary art project space called Satellite, or in English, Satellite. And you can find, now you are seeing some pictures from the first exhibition of Satellite entitled Surroundings. And you can find online the interviews to the artists of the first exhibition. And the other one, the other space, has become an atelier. That is a working space for artists, active all year round, accessible through an open call, and the name of this project is Studio. So it's a working space for the artists. And yeah, in this way we can create, I hope, a real and interesting dialogue with people and with the general public, not only with the specialist public of contemporary art.
Thank you, thank you. And you already mentioned Black History Month Florence. And that's interesting because this is, today is the second episode of this series, this new series about the Salotto degli Artisti. And last month, we have Justin Randolph-Thompson, co-founder and director of Black History Month Florence, here with us as a guest. And we talk about his activity as an artist and as the director of Black History Month Florence. And just for the ones who weren't here last time, I remind you all that all these episodes are recorded, so later you may find the videos on the Italian Cultural Center website. So maybe you can check on that later. Back to the present. I know that there were a recent collaboration between La Portineria and Black History Month Florence. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. And the collaboration with Black History Florence has been really important for us. First of all, because of the values that this festival spreads and defends. And then because it's a fantastic group of people, very professional and very friendly at the same time. And on the occasion of the 2021 edition of Black History Month Florence, we presented a solo exhibition by Ako Atikosye, a young artist from Congo. But he has been living in Milano, in Italy, for over 10 years. And the title of the exhibition was Identitary Boundaries, Confini Identitari. Ako is a very interesting artist. He carries out research that, in my opinion, is halfway between painting and sculpture. Generally, his artworks are large canvas, completely covered by minimal signs, and that at a distance create a fascinating figurative effect. These small signs are related to the minus or the electron, since Aku is very interested in the particle composition of matter. Here you can see the very small signs all over the canvas. And these canvases are then installed on the wall, creating some folds. And so they also take on the appearance of sculptures. And we also had an installation in the exhibition, again with the canvas, but applied in wooden tables, in wooden boards suspended from above. And I won't add anything else about Black History Month Florence, since Radolf has been your guest. So I can imagine that you already know a lot about this festival. But yeah, I would like to repeat that for us, this was a very important collaboration.
Thank you, Matteo. It's great to know more about La Portineria, and it's kind of amazing to me how you were able to still have a lot of interest and interesting exhibitions going on in this difficult time. So, you know, good luck with everything, and it's just gonna get easier. And hopefully everybody can go and, you know, check out the Portineria, everybody that lives in Minneapolis or St. Paul, as soon as we can travel. That's kind of the goal, one of the goals of the series. So let's move on to the artist, Zoya. So Zoya Shokoohi was born in Iran, Isfahan, in 1987 and moved to Italy in 2015. Zoya examines the relationship between Western art and science from the standpoint of a Middle Eastern woman and artist. Her work focuses on necessary socio-political activities of the contemporary man, and also on the paradoxical aspect of contemporary life. So welcome and thank you for being with us. First of all, why did you choose to relocate and settle in Florence from Iran?
Hello, everybody who listen to us today. I'm happy to be here with you this spring Sunday, thanks to Giulia, Zoe, Tiziana, the Italian Cultural Center and Rochester Art Center, and their invitation. Yes, I'm Zoya. I'm 34 years and I'm Iranian. To say the reason why I moved here, let's go back to the step before. Actually, I graduated in chemical engineering more than 10 years ago. I started to work in engineering field for some years, either as a researcher or a process designer. On one hand, I'm interested in art, and actually since my infancy, I always paint. On the other hand, the beauty of science is amazing for me. So I decided to study fine art academically due to do interdisciplinary research between art and science. Somehow to show off beauty of science and science discovery, you know. In that step, I had to choose where to study art, and the answer for me was so clear: Accademia di Belle Arti di Firenze. It's where I wished to be since my infancy, especially because of its long history and the huge artists who were at. So And now it's 6 years since I'm here. I live in Florence. The reason why I stayed here is another story as well. When I immigrated from Iran to Italy, I experienced a kind of cultural shock that forced me to focus on the Western social aspects. For me, it was also a sort of review of my Eastern social life, you know. So I started to do some performances, actions, happenings in this new Occidental context, to discover my being in this new context. For instance, in the first place, I did a performance entitled "I Am Here." In that work, I was presenting myself in the La Signora Square every night from 8 to 9 p.m. During November 2017. In this way, I had a mutual presence in this urban context, and also I was forced to be part of this the social flow. There are many aspects to consider about this that work, but I say that to take an example how I experiment this new context. An immigrant remains forever an immigrant, but I can be closer and closer to real city life. And now I'm getting knowledge about real necessity of this content, this Occidental Occidental content. So I'm not only working on social political facts, but also I'm trying to mix up my engineering formation to confront also needs that I find interesting.
And as an immigrant myself to the US, not to Italy, I very much agree with that sense of like you're forever gonna be there. And I think it's very interesting that you took courage and try to insert yourself into the urban kind of. It's a little disorienting to live in a new public space, right? So talking about public space, in 2020, right before pandemic, you were selected for a public art call that was kind of one of a kind in Florence, in the former mental hospital called San Salvi, which for whoever is going to travel to Italy sooner or later, it's a really beautiful location that's a little outside of the touristy routes, but has a beautiful park and a really dense history. So tell us about the project that you did there and your approach to the space and its history.
Okay, let me share my presentation to show you something. Okay, here. Okay, here we go. Yes, I participated in the art call. that was focused on requalification of the San Salvi neighborhood in Florence. This area, like a village with a large park, which is closed with by the boundary wall. It's a real strange zone, and there was a former mental hospital in the year 1978, I think, yeah. Due to Bazarian rule, it closed. So there is no longer there. However, every person passed just one time through the San Salvi is aware of the heaviness of this area. And I think because of due to its history, I think San Salvi's identity remains between past and suspended between past and present, madness and sanity. And if you go there, you can get it soon. For this project, I thought maybe one of the efficient acts could be passing the past down. I don't mean hiding the past, but making a solid base to have to design the future. So I constructed some cubes with rigid materials, some cubes with concrete in a sculptural form that preserve documents of former mental hospital of San Salvi, trying to fix memories. The cubes are arranged to form a circle of extended diameter as a symbol of community. On the functional level, there are also seats for the new witnesses of this hospital, a special place. It's and due to pandemic period, I would say also a special time. Next to each cube, I planted a mulberry tree by myself. The purpose of trees in my work is nature as a new life and perennial testimony, something that that is continuously regenerated. Due to the simple form of the seat, the person who sits on the seat is free to choose the horizon, to observe the horizon or make the conversation with the person. And I think this situation seems a start of a new possible narration and knowledge of what happened, but looking toward the future also.
I know that you have pictures of this installation. Yeah.
Yeah. This one was this one.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
And this is the installation, ambiental installation, and it's a permanent installation that you can go and find it. Yeah.
Well, I personally can't wait to see this in real life. You said that you work also with different kinds of media, and you have done performance in the past. So why don't you talk about a little bit about You're Protected, Sei Protetto, which is a performance about coffee and as a ritual for welcoming, gathering, sharing. So something that it's related to your culture as an Iranian, and also has interest points of commonality with the Italian culture.
Mm-hmm. Yes, actually, I did that work for an edition of Stills of Peace. It's a project based on practices for art and culture creation. Every year, this project hosts some artists from a country and some Italian artists to make a dialogue. And 2 years ago, 3 other Iranian artists and I were guests of the edition. So as you can imagine, I had to find a significant element that Iran and Italy have in common. And no need to say about the popularity of Italian coffee. And also in Iran, there are some anecdotes and a special ritual and a strange ritual about coffee. Therefore, I decided to take this coffee as a reference point to design a performance, a happening. The performance brought into play a popular ritual that belongs to both Iran and Italy, offering coffee. During the performance, I was distributing coupons in the form of bookmarks, inviting the people to drink, to accept a coffee. This bookmark had two fronts. On one side, the word "You are protected" appears, and on the other side, there was a short definition of the tradition entitled "Qahve Qajari." That means Qajar coffee. It's a tradition that come from Qajar era in Iran, and which consisted of killing competitors with poisonous coffee. So with this action, I offered to the public both trust and unreliability. The spectator was free to choose either to drink or not to drink. During the performance, there was a video surveillance system of the place where the action was happening. The control system indicates, in my opinion, forms of power such as the protection mechanism, but the definition of this type of protection always appears in the rather not so clear. I want to add also another thing, another interesting thing about this that happened during the performance. In the event, there were some Italian and Iranian political figures, and they reacted as a political, reacted to this performance as a political event. For me, it's how art can challenge systems. And I show you also some photo of this girl helped me to distributing cafe. And it's the surveillance system that I applied there.
Was it the surveillance system like already in place, or you place it there?
Oh, I placed it there. Yeah. And then this video remained in the exhibition for all during of the exhibition, for 3 months. But it was this 40 minutes of video.
I think this is a good time to open up to questions from our audience. So please feel free to type your questions for Matteo and Zoya in the chat.
Waiting for some questions. Zoya, is it on YouTube, your video, so we can see that, or it's somewhere else? Because
yes, of course, I shared the link on the chat.
Yeah, it may be interesting. Thank you.
I have a question for you, Zoya.
Yes?
Did you speak Italian before you arrived in Italy? And if not, how did the learning process go?
Well, for coming to get the study visa to come to Italy, I had to study level A2 Italian language. So I studied that in Iran, and then I came here and I spoke.
Great, perfect. And I can tell by chatting with you in Italian that you have you mastered the language now, so that's great.
Erika Spritzer asked, is there a fee for international artists to work at the studio? I think this is for Matteo.
Yeah. Absolutely no. There is an open call that is completely free, and so you can apply from all over the world. Now, obviously we have many restrictions due to the pandemic situation, but I hope that after this period we will travel in total safety again. And there is no fee, and you can use freely the space, since it's a real atelier for the artists. But the artist needs to provide for the lodging and for his or her primary service, but we don't have a fee. So is from this point of view is totally free, and we during the period of this residency, we communicate the permanence and the working process of the artist on our social channels and on our website with an interview, with some posts and so on. And the only thing that we ask is a moment of public encounter with people. That could be a simple studio visit, or a small exhibition, or something else.
Thank you, Matteo. I know that Erika was supposed to actually be in Italy at this time, but due to the pandemic, she couldn't travel. So we have a message for Zoya by Tom. In the time of COVID restriction, how do you engage with the public with your public practice?
Okay. Actually, in this period, I'm working by myself in the studio and reflecting on new projects. But one interesting thing is about a project that me and Matteo launched last year, Vacant Zone Artist Residency. That was not an idea, not designed for this period, but accidentally it seems designed for this pandemic situation, which is an online artist residency that two artists are forced to have a dialogue, online dialogue, but not exactly as it, maybe I can ask Matteo if can help me in this case, because it's a bit.
We think that yeah, it's
maybe it's a project that we have done in this.
Yeah, we are creating. Yeah, it's a project that we are creating together, and as Zoya was saying, is an online residency program. For each edition, we have two artists, and they work during two different phases. In the first one, there is a dialogue between the two artists, sort of a theoretical dialogue. And during the second phase, they start working with a technical team in order to translate their project idea in something real, online, but real. So, for example, now we have two artists on residency, one from Italy, and the other one from India. And they are working with the technical team on an algorithm, a sort of artificial intelligence that is able to create a sort of a collage of videos at every access on the website. So it's a sort of artwork of video art, but every time is new, because if the viewer refresh the page of the website, he or she will receive another video. And this is entirely managed from an algorithm. So it's something related to the technology, but also with the idea to humanize or to to humanize the technology with the intervention of the artists. And last thing, I think that we will be able to publish the first project of a vacant zone in the few next weeks. So we are almost ready. Matteo, do you provide the technical team for the residency and how is it funded? Yes, we provide the technical team. We are working with two persons from Iran. They are specialized in information technology and in engineering. And so now we have a team with the two artists and two people of the technical team. And it was funded starting from an intuition of Zoya. And the original idea of a vacant zone came from Zoya. And so it's curious because in this case, we don't have a real distinction or separation between the role of the curator and the artist, but it's something that we are managing together.
And tell us again, where can we find the information for Vacant Zone? I think you're muted.
I can write the website of Vacant Zone, the chat.
Thank you. I have a question for the both of you. Maybe you can answer from your different perspectives. How do you feel about the international artist community in Florence? Is it easy to connect with other artists from different parts of the world? Is it easy to connect with local artists?
Okay, in my opinion, I think that maybe we should consider that about artists from the United States, there is a sort of is something common, because in Florence there are many private schools for American students, and so they have also the opportunity to work and to show their artworks in some space here in Florence. At the same time, I have to admit that I don't think that the Florentine community is totally open to the international context. The attention, the concentration is preeminently on the art of the tradition of Renaissance. So I think that, yeah, maybe there are some opportunities, but I think that we can do better. we could do better.
Well, it seems that you guys are doing already much for artists, right? Like providing space and all those connections. Zoya, do you wanna jump in on this? Do you have any experience to share?
I totally agree with Matteo, because we discussed about this issue many times, and actually Florence, because of its tradition in art, it's a bit difficult for contemporary art, but however, in some new reality comes and go. Something maybe I think the in Florence we need some reality, a contemporary reality that comes and remains as a reference. I mean, maybe for example, Pecci, it's a sort of that, but in Florence, I don't know what to say.
I see that Tom DiBiasio said the struggle for contemporary creative voice is universal, always the good fight. So,
okay.
I totally agree.
I think we can all agree on that.
It's the nature of contemporary, maybe, or nature of contemporary art, maybe.
Well, it's nice to know that there's a network of people that want to make it work and are interested, right? Which is kind of great to see that happening here too, through this series. So Zoya mentioned the Centro Pecci, which is an important contemporary art museum in Tuscany. It's not in Florence, it's in Prato, but it's just about a few kilometers away from Florence. So if you ever travel to Tuscany, it's a really good place to go and check out. If there is more questions and you're interested in knowing more about Matteo and Zoya's work, we will send out information on their websites, which they're already in the chat, but we can send them again, right, Tiziana? I suppose you can always reach out directly to them, and I hope that everybody gets to visit Portineria soon when we can travel again. So thank you, both of you, for being with us today and for sharing your work, and good luck with everything that the future has for us, you know. So next month, we're gonna meet on April 18, a Sunday, 11:30 a.m. Central Time in the US, and 6:30 p.m. the 18:30. Initially this month, there was time zone change, there was daylight saving here, so we're just less hours apart for a little bit. And we are going to meet with Associazione e Art, who organizes artist markets and other events in the public and in uncommon places in Florence, new like gardens and such. And then visual DJ, VJ David Artono, who's from Indonesia and who has worked on large-scale events with his projection mapping, but also more community projects, and has his work has been projected on like many very famous surfaces of churches and other monuments. So it's an exciting, it's going to be exciting to talk to him too. Registration is always like on the Italian Cultural Center website. And so thank you, everyone.
Thank you for being here today, and hope to see you again next month.
Yeah, thank you. And again, thank you to our guests, Zoya and Matteo, and thank you for the opportunity for our audience here to discover lesser known Florence. And yes, so, and again, I think everyone is looking forward to be able to come and say hello in person soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for
everybody.
your invitation.
Buona giornata a tutti, ciao.
Giornata.